Let's do some trim around a stairwell. When I tried this last week, it almost drove me nuts.
Tyler and I started this last week. Took me about an hour to figure out how to do the first cut. It's a bit like doing trim in 3D, similar to scotia or crown molding.
I ordered quarter round for this and I regretted that decision pretty quickly because it's really easy to get your cuts the wrong way around. So it's really important to get a system and stick with it. The system I've come up with is cutting everything so that the wall side is against the fence of the miter saw. That means that I'm making bevel cuts most of the time instead of miter cuts, which is a little bit more complicated. I grew up using a DeWalt saw on which setting up the bevel cut takes a bit longer than doing miter cuts, but on these Makita saws it's pretty good. Winning? Yep. Oh yeah, just a few more skirtings. Don't need skirtings there, that's all kitchen. It's a free cavity slider if anyone wants it. Or is it a pocket door? For the sake of the health and safety of the plasterers and the painters, someone decided that we need scaffolding in the stairwells. Makes our job harder and I've hit my head on it so many times. This staircase starts off pretty easy, a lot easier than the other ones. It's just a bunch of square cuts around this side. I've got a skirting here that I'm going to run my first piece to, so I want to cut a 15-degree angle. Let's get into some good habits. Put a W on the wall side. So cut our 15-degree angle. Right. Did I cut this the right way? Yes, I did. I like to use my knife here. Just mark that back edge. It gives me a nice sharp point, and then I'm cutting a miter, so this will be a 90-degree up at that angle. But it gets a little bit confusing marking the rounded edge, so I mark it on the back. I might get my blower and just get all this dust off. Actually, there's probably a brush around. Where are we? Wall side. Now, because my marker's on the back side, I need to transfer that to the front so I can see it. When I'm making a cut like this, I always clamp my hand onto the fence so that it can't get pulled into the blade. That's my first piece. Now I can cut the next piece to complement that. There we are. The first piece fits in there. Second piece, I've cut that angle on there already, but I can't get that in there. What I need to do is measure from there to this point, 560. And I need to think about which way I want to cut there as well. I want to cut up this way. I'll show you something. These are both 45-degree cuts. You see how when I line them up you get a nice 90 degree. If I cut this on the other side, still at 45, I haven't touched the saw. Now, we get something wonky going on. If you try to have it at 90, got the bulge sticking into the corner. The reason is, I've cut them with the wall side in different orientations. So if that's the problem you're having, think about where your wall side is going. I'll glue this first piece on now. I'm happy with this one, so I'll glue that as well. Now it's just rinse and repeat for the next two pieces. Next piece in the corner here is going to be coped, so I need to put a miter on there and cope that out. For a cope joint, you've got to remember that you're measuring your short point, so you need to cut a 45-degree angle away from that, and that's what gives you the shape that you need to cut out. Because it's a quarter round, I like to use my grinder to get that nice round curve rather than a coping saw. Could use a coping saw, but it's just a little bit awkward on a small trim like this. Just take another little bit off, I think.
Up and down, up and down.
There we go, that's better. Beautiful. We're past the corner now, and we've got this change in angle where it's no longer 90-degree bends. Use the angle finder on my good rule, put that over the stringer with a gauge hanging over. That gives me an angle of 130 degrees. Now to do a miter, I want half of that, so 65 degrees, right? Wrong. If you cut two pieces at 65 degrees, your angle won't work. A miter saw cutting at 0 degrees is actually 90 degrees to the edge of the timber, which is what I'm measuring. So I need to subtract 65 degrees from 90 degrees, and that gives me 25 degrees. Oh, look at that, perfect. You're wondering about some of these rough cuts on the stringers. I'm going to tidy them up. Whoever installed these stairs basically cut them out really roughly. So I'm going to have to fix that before they get painted. For the corner at the top of the stairs, I should have done it differently, but it's too late now. So what I'm going to do is just do a little 90-degree return into the wall. It's pretty tricky with the small trim, so I've actually made a piece. I've overcut it slightly. They have a tendency to disintegrate on the saw, and I'll just trim that size once it's glued together. Did a short on using this glue a while back. It's basically super glue with a spray activator. So you put the glue on one end, spray the other end, put them together, and once they're together you've got a few seconds before it's completely set. Just use my multi-tool to trim that away. Now if that isn't proof that that glue holds, I don't know what is. There we are, that looks alright, eh? I've still got the other side of the staircase to do, but there's no point in flogging a dead horse. Next video will hopefully be on framing the other job. So that job started about a month ago, and I've been in and out. But I didn't end up running that job. I ended up staying here for most of the time and running this, which is probably just as well, because with all the trouble, that job was probably a bit over my head. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Cheers!